Hey, I think it's work. Chapter 1 again. I don't know what else while I'm reading, that's totally fine. For a few through the open trail. At that moment, the sky darkened and a cold draft blew Olivia's hair past her face so fast, black shoe and dripped to the ground. The creature carried the little boy by the neck to the house. A blood trail on the ground was left behind. Okay, so that was the prologue. Okay, it's going good. Okay, Chapter 1. Olivia rode her bike down the gravel road past the overgrown layers of thick, dark, dead weeds in the ditches. A breeze swept across her warm cheeks, her forehead, and through her hair. Through her long wavy clinked together as the tires ran over the rocks. Just a little bit further and she would make it to Grandpa's house. She gripped the smooth handlebars and pedaled faster. Her hair blew over her shoulders. Her summer to-do list was crinkled in her back pocket. Above everything else, she needed enough time to go fishing at the lake and get ice cream with Grandpa. I hope 4 weeks is enough. She thought about going to the University of Winnipeg and felt nervous but excited. White house. A few feet by tall trees stood by the smoke. She had been in the she made her of her. She froze. Her heart seemed to slow in those few seconds. Oh God, no. Coffee table. His hat laid the lake sideways. Her arm knocked over 911. Her hand shook as her. My grandpa is laying on the floor. On 11 Olivia. Grandma. Can you see if his chest is moving up and down? And crashed against the wall. She picked it back up and realized the cord was too short. I can't. The phone cord won't reach. Phone option. No, they're all old and have cords. That's it. They have a cord. That's it. I don't know what to do. He's not moving. Tears slid down her eyes. Come back to the phone when you're done. All right. Olivia set the phone down and rushed over to Grandpa's side. His chest didn't seem to move at all. She touched his wrist and yanked back. He felt cold, like the fish they would reel in from the lake. She touched his wrist again. Still cold. No pulse. But that would mean he was... No! Grandpa, please wake up! She gasped, unable to breathe normally. Her lungs clamped down. Hello, are you still there? The woman's voice said. She shook his shoulder once more. Grandpa, she sniffled. Please get up. She rested her head on his chest and listened. Her own heartbeat echoed in her ears. She lowered her head down and covered her mouth. This time, she screamed into her hands. I should have waited to pack my clothes for college. If I did, he might have still be alive. If only I had come earlier. She wiped the tears from her eyes and spotted the corner of a picture that stuck out of his pocket. He hesitated a moment and pulled it out. It was Grandpa and her fishing together when she was 5. She clutched it to her chest and squeezed her eyes shut to stop the tears. But nothing could. Why? Why? She screamed to the empty walls. A few seconds passed by. She opened her eyes to see a single white feather float into the room and land on top of Grandpa's chest. The ambulance sirens grew closer and closer until they were right outside the door. 3 paramedics came into the living room and bent down next to Grandpa. A woman in a blue medic jacket helped Olivia up and took her outside. Olivia turned in time to see them cut through Grandpa's shirt. I'll start chest compressions. You get the AED, a paramedic shouted. The woman guided Olivia outside. Several minutes later, the 2 paramedics came out with Grandpa on the stretcher. Olivia ran over and touched his exposed, cold, limp hand. A hand that wouldn't hold her anymore. A hand she wouldn't watch build houses or help her reel in fish by the lake. Is he? She choked on her words and couldn't finish. They didn't give her an answer, then rolled him out to the ambulance. I'll stay with her, the woman said. The two men nodded and jumped in the rig. Sheriff Roy arrived in his old white Ford just as the ambulance pressed. As the ambulance passed by. He stepped out of the car, closed the door. I was too late. I should have come earlier. She sobbed, then gazed up at Sheriff. Am I right? His shoulders fell, and he let out a long breath. It's not your fault, kiddo. Things happen for a reason. There was a reason why my parents died in a car crash when I was younger and I survived. That's different, though. I know. God gives lives, and then he takes lives. That's just the way it is. God must have needed your grandpa for something, or maybe he knew that it was his time to go. Come on. He led her to his car and opened the back door. Olivia got in and wiped her tears away. Sheriff Roy placed the bike in the back of his Ford, then headed back towards her house. If I was only earlier. There is nothing you can do, so stop that thinking. Your grandpa was a good man, but we all knew he had a bad heart, especially you. Olivia paused. You always came and made sure he took his pill. You did very well taking care of him. He put the car into park. Sheriff Roy followed her to the front porch. Olivia stopped at the front door, pressed her forehead against the cold wood, and sobbed. She squeezed her eyes shut and surrendered to the burning sensation. With both fists, she hit the door. It opened so fast Olivia fell forward into a pair of arms. Olivia's mom. Doreen stood there speechless. Her curly blonde hair was pulled back in a bun. She normally wore it down or in a ponytail. What's going on? Olivia's eyes filled with more tears. Her throat burned and her chest ached. Honey, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Sheriff Roy took his hat off and gazed at Olivia's mom. I'm sorry, Doreen. He's gone. Sheriff Roy left. Olivia held on to her mom. It's my fault, Mom. I was too late. No, it's not your fault, honey. Olivia pulled from her mom. Her eyes burned and stung from the uncontrollable tears. Yes, it is, Mom. I should have left earlier. He's dead because of me. She ran up the stairs and down the hallway. Olivia, please, her mom called at the bottom of the stairs. It's not your fault. Olivia slammed the door shut and curled up in a ball on her bed. For the rest of the day, Olivia spent most of the time in her room with all the blinds closed, hidden away in the dark. She didn't want to endure reality all over again. Not without Grandpa. Her days would never be the same again. She held a picture of her and Grandpa when they had gone fishing at the lake. The memories repeated themselves through her mind as she mumbled to herself. Tears filled her smarting eyes. On the floor in front of the bed, clothes were compressed together in suitcases. Olivia had been excited about it, but the loss of Grandpa put a toll on her. She didn't want to leave and wanted to stay home. Olivia had a shelf on the right side of the door with framed photos of Grandpa. They were a reminder that he would always be with her. All the walls in her room were purple with gold dots. On one side, by the deck doors, the wall was done in a cheetah print style. Ooh, cheetah print! The queen-sized bed sat against it. In the far corner of the right side of the bedroom door sat a table that had a mannequin head and dentist tools lined up in a row. A pile of thick books and single papers sat beside it. The wall by the desk and fishing poles from when she was 7 years old to now, in a row. Her first fishing rod was a pink one. All the lures and boppers were on a shelf behind a glass case. She even had her first fishing hat on the shelf with others from different years. Everything in her room reminded her of Grandpa. Is that a happy thing or a sad thing? A part of Olivia felt mad at God for taking Grandpa away. Out of all the people in her family, why Grandpa? Why him? Why not somebody else in the world? It may seem harsh and cruel, but that's how she felt. Her grandpa was a good person. He'd never done anything wrong or bothered anybody, and now he was gone. A knock at the door distracted her from the thoughts of Grandpa and the times they had spent together. I called the family. They will be here tomorrow, her mom called from the other side of the door. Olivia didn't say or do anything. She didn't have the strength to speak a single word. Sadness and loss had taken over. That's it. So that was chapter 1 of The Wish. And so the prologue, the little boy Henry in the prologue is Olivia's ancestors. So her dad, Richard, runs the Salem witch trials. And yeah, that's another whole story, but I don't want to give it away because I talk about it throughout the book. So if some of you know my past or whatever, my grandpa Quinn was actually created from my dad, Charlie. So Grandpa Quinn, my dad. So when I was writing this book, I was trying to figure out, okay, who do I want Grandpa Quinn inspired by? I've said this plenty of times to a lot of people. When I write characters, I have to take something from my life or from me and put into the characters. So his character was a lot more easier to write when I figured out, okay, I think I'm going to have this character be inspired by my dad. So that's exactly what I did. And Olivia's character, when I wrote her character, I wanted to just have her be her. I mean, I took a little bit of me and put in her. So for some of you that really know me, emotionally or whatever, when you read the book, you'll know different things from Olivia's character in me. So she loves the country and she's kind of quiet, just like me. And I had so much fun working on Olivia's character and building this world to have Olivia close with someone. I mean, she is close with her mom, but I wanted her to be close with her grandpa, so I just thought that would have been interesting. So anyways, that was the prologue, and that was chapter 1. So this Friday at 6:45, I will read chapter 2. Hopefully, the internet doesn't knock me off again. I hope. But anyways, so that's all I want to do. Oh, and don't forget, these are still here. These are the first editions of The Wish. These, okay. These right here. Maybe if I take this off, okay. So these are the old covers, the first editions, and I'm giving these away for free. The first 2 people that comment down below will get these for free. And if you live out of state or if you live here in town, you can meet me up somewhere and I can give them to you. So that's that. And my next live coffee chat will be next Tuesday, probably at 8 o'clock, I'm guessing, because if I do it at 9, everyone's at work. So I think I'll probably start it at probably 7:45, 7:50, maybe. I usually wake up at 7:30 in the morning, but anyway.